right, everyone, welcome to the podcast with Mr. Bryan Byler. We are super excited to have him on. This guy is a rock solid stud in more ways than one. He's very strong, very handsome, just the man, the absolute man. We love having him on. Bryan, thanks for coming on the show. Just to start us off, let's hear a little background about yourself.
Yeah, no, thanks, Tanner. Happy to be here. Appreciate the opportunity. A little bit about myself. I'm currently the Chief Operating Officer at Aptitude. We're an elite HubSpot partner, specialized in technical HubSpot consulting, implementations, migrations, and optimization of HubSpot, those kind of things. Former HubSpotter myself, I worked on the principal onboarding team there with some lovely people. Been on the partner side of things about 3 years now. Prior to that, most of my career has been in professional services, consulting. Was a road warrior for many years, but my specialty and what I enjoy most is just scaling PS organizations. I've got a background in organizational development and OD consulting, and that's what I enjoy doing. When I'm not piloting the rocket ship, I enjoy getting outdoors as much as possible. I'm an amateur rock climber, so I like to get on the wall and love to build Legos with my sons.
Wow.
That's what gets me going.
Wow, a man of many talents, Renaissance man. So what is PS organizations, just to clarify?
Oh, yeah, thanks. Professional services organizations.
Awesome, love it. Just want to make sure. So you're working for Aptitude 8. How long have you been working there for them again?
It's just been a few months. So I joined, I think, December last year. So really just started my journey here.
Oh, right on. That's exciting. Good. Always starting new stuff is pretty fun. So what do you like about Aptitude 8? What kind of bridged the gap for you to join the team? What got you excited?
Oh man, Aptitude is widely regarded, in my opinion, and I think many others, as probably the top partner in the HubSpot ecosystem. The first to market with so many things, the fastest to elite, the first to really truly get into RevOps. I think the early adopters of AI, Connor will kick me for saying this, but really truly a genius and a visionary. And the way that he's grown this company, developing this company, and ran it has been transformative in a lot of ways. I think many other partners have looked to lead the way. And so had an opportunity to collaborate with him and certainly jumped at the opportunity. I've been following Aptitude really since they got started and just been so impressed with the work they've done and the approach that, to come and join them as their COO is just an honor and a privilege that I couldn't pass up. But yeah, really stoked to be here. Wonderful people. I think what makes it so special is we work hard, but we actually have a lot of fun doing it. I think something we're really good at interviewing for is, people say that, but it actually feels real here. Everyone on our team loves HubSpot and is passionate about it. And I think that's a pretty cool thing. And so we get to solve some really advanced use cases. We're always pushing the limits, always trying new things. And we hire people who are problem solvers, that, like myself, that really enjoy doing it. That's something that gives me a lot of pride, is solving something that is otherwise unsolvable or hasn't been done before. And I think that's a secret sauce here at Aptitude that makes them what they are today.
I love that. That's amazing. And I love that you've been following them for so long, and now you finally get to join them and you're on board and together with them. That must be a really cool, just feeling satisfactory for you, I'm sure, right?
It is. I actually shared in our company Slack this week, and I was like, you know what? A few months into the role here, and anytime you join a new organization, there's always that kind of honeymoon phase where you're like, oh, this place is great. I love it. Everyone's wonderful.
Yeah.
But it fades with time as you get to know and understand the behind the scenes. That hasn't faded or even dwindled for me at all. It's not a honeymoon. It's just how it is here. And that's the first time that I've ever experienced that in my career. I've worked for some great organizations, and not to discount them in any way, but this leadership team can accomplish anything. It is just so special that we truly seek each other's feedback and opinion on decisions. We want to make sure everyone's comfortable and aligned, and then we move quickly. And so it's a very special thing. To me, it feels, I don't know, very much like, I've joked that's like a wolf pack, but not a bad way, but like a good way. We move together, we're effective together, and it's really part of our culture. We're very adaptive. We move quickly, we pivot quickly. But we're really big on being aligned. And I think Yamini a couple of years ago said, alignment eats strategy for breakfast. That feels very real here at Aptitude. So that's, I think, been the coolest thing for me. But yeah, to be here and be part of this journey is just very special for me.
That's cool. I love that. Thanks for sharing. So Bryan, I wanted to jump in real quick to a tool we talked about the other day, actually. And you mentioned to me, and I actually went in and got a little bit more familiar with it. And I love it, dude. It's awesome. It's called Hublead with Bastian Paul, the CEO of Hublead. I think it is the coolest tool ever. And as someone who is on LinkedIn, like pretty much every day, Hublead is an amazing tool. It is so intuitive. It helps you link all of your LinkedIn contacts with HubSpot like seamlessly and change stuff within LinkedIn. You don't even have to go into HubSpot. It's amazing. But thank you for recommending it. I wanted to get your thoughts on what you think about Hublead and where Bastian Paul is going with it.
Yeah, I shared with Bastian. I met with him a couple weeks ago, and I love, and I think everyone loves things that are disruptive in tech, right? I think his product is quite disruptive. There's nothing else that I'm aware of that does quite what it does. The closest to it would be LinkedIn Sales Navigator feature, right? Which is great. Our sales team uses that. And so I felt there was some feature parity there, some overlap. Perhaps there is a bit, but it's really quite supplementary, really. We use both, and I think there's a strong synergy between all three of those tools. So HubSpot is our CRM, of course, right? But it's just the ability to quickly, because we're on LinkedIn all the time as well. I'm on daily. A lot of our team members are. So really important part of our messaging, but the ability to quickly add a contact directly in your CRM. It's also got great capabilities for scraping data enrichment components. In most cases, it can grab someone's email if it's publicly known or aware, whatever. So enriching the emails is just a game changer because look, we're moving fast here. Everyone's moving fast. It's pretty easy to forget to add a contact to the CRM or maybe let it in there, or maybe they even joined or converted with the Gmail or something, which we don't love. But just part of our process is getting to, just organizationally, is getting to know our clients and our prospects deeply. And LinkedIn is a great way to do that, right? So for us, it's very much a force multiplier and just enriches the data. I think it's been a really nice data integrity tool for us. That's where we've seen the most value.
Yeah, I think one thing you mentioned there earlier too is, for me at least, when I'm, for example, asking people to be on the podcast like this, where I'll send out a message. That's how I found you on LinkedIn, was I messaged you and you gave me a few recommendations of people that would be a good fit for the podcast too. And sometimes I'll just forget to reach back out. Like, everybody's busy, everyone's doing stuff. So they'll read a post, be like, oh, I'll respond to it later, and then forget. Like, it happens to everyone. And so what I love about Hublead is it just helps me come back to those people and never forget about, oh, I sent this message. And because it's now logged in HubSpot, I can go to HubSpot and say, all right, who do I need to go back to and follow up with in order to just reconvene and get that message again? That has been like the absolute game changer for me of, okay, now I can go back and look and see, okay, these are the people that I messaged a week ago or a couple of days ago, and I'll come back to them. And everything was put inside straight from LinkedIn. So I never had to go, okay, I'm going to log this person into HubSpot, put them in this list or whatever, and then come back. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is nice. I think that the log into the conversations is definitely a nice perk. It's been helpful. We segment by that a little bit. Maybe you're doing the same thing as well, but being able to segment the audience there is nice. Yeah, it's a tremendous convenient feature. And I think what's cool about it is many products go to market with a pretty basic utility. The fact that it already has as much capability as it does, and it's still fairly early in its go-to-market, I think it's pretty exciting about what's to come. So I think they've got a really cool idea, and we're very excited to see where they take it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Staying on the tools, processes, frameworks route for you, Bryan, what do you guys like to use at Aptitude 8, or maybe some previous companies that you've been with regarding these processes, these frameworks, helping with RevOps in general, making things easier, more productive? What things do you guys have that really make a difference?
I think the obvious is, of course, again, HubSpot. Not to shamelessly plug it, but it really is the core of our company.
Shamelessly
right?
plug away, Bryan. Shamelessly plug away.
Yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't. It is a tremendous tool. The utility it has for all organizations is great, but particularly as an elite partner, we built most of our business processes begin or reside and or around or integrated with HubSpot. So it is a nucleus in an organization centered along everything else. There are some applications we use in addition to HubSpot. We really like Associate. That's been a lot of fun to use. A Happily product, of course. Clone Attack, I use a lot to clone records. One day HubSpot will add that feature, but until then, Clone Attack's been really valuable. So you spend all this time creating a ticket or a deal and you work it or whatever, and a new one comes up, the same thing. Just clone it. That's super easy to do. Those are two nice things that have helped us. I would say additionally, ChatGPT is important, and just other AI tools, some Bard and things like that. But we've spent a lot of time customizing, building custom GPTs, not only with OpenAI's tool, but in other AI applications. Customizing GPTs really for your business, right? And training those language models to learn and understand the context of your organization. And so it takes a tool that, look, ChatGPT, if you do nothing, is very beneficial and can save, I think, most people in almost any role a certain amount of time in a week, right? But when you invest the time and resources to build out a custom GPT, train it, feed it content, and nurture it over time, it gets exponentially more valuable, right? So where you see some organizations You've seen the sales emails like, oh, it will be a delight in the arena of consulting. We were going to delve into that's a bot that's not trained. Certainly it's trained, right? But when you can really feed it your tone and your context and your brand messaging, then that messaging feels a lot more organic and real and is tremendously more effective. So we use AI in many facets of the organization, but we're not using anything out of the box. Everything we use is highly customized towards our company, our use cases, and the messaging we're trying to get out.
So I want to dive in a little bit more to the custom GPTs that you guys create for your
Mm-hmm.
companies you work with. You mentioned one right now, just creating sales emails, but are there other applications that you guys use for those GPTs so that people can dive in and really know what's going on with their company?
Oh, many, sure. These aren't necessarily ones that we're doing, but I am aware of them being done by other companies and clients who work with is we have clients using them to respond to RFPs now. We don't do a lot of RFP work as it were, but building a custom GPT with your RFP responses, your textbook legal language, your textbook technology and security things, RFP responses is great. There's some other cool utilities out there you can pay for it. Obviously, the given sales emails, client emails, really anytime a process is automated and sending any kind of messaging, I think there's always an option to use AI there as well. For us, I think to summarize or container how we use it at Aptitude 8, it's extremely important to us that we're creating a premium experience. It's from unknown prospects, someone who's just come to our website or maybe saw some Orion Guns content on LinkedIn and come in to learn more. From that first juncture all the way to ideally they're a longtime client, it's about creating a premium experience the entire time. And so AI helps us to do that by eliminating bottlenecks, right? Anytime there could be a bottleneck in communication, there could be a delay. We try and avoid situations where customers may not know the status or may not be aware of what comes next. You can usually plug some automated communications there, again, to just keep nurturing their relationship throughout the entire time that they're with us. That's probably the biggest way we do it. And there's many touch points throughout our customer lifecycle that I think indicate that. But again, just creating a premium experience, sending information, and making sure that our clients are always in the know about what's going on, what's next stepped, from regards to things like status reports, even throughout the whole process. We look for opportunities to, one, automate, obviously using HubSpot. Then, of course, we look to things like the Operations Hub, right? It's a core part of our business as well. We've got many custom coded actions built that drive the Ferrari, if you will. And then AI is like the next level. Maybe that's the racing fuel that goes in the Ferrari. But that's how I would summarize it. They're automating touch points, sending information at various stages in the buyer's journey and the customer journey. Certainly, the given is like content creation. Most of our content is organically created, right? We don't have a lot of utility for AI in that. Certainly, it helps. I think where it helps me personally is like brainstorming, as I'm thinking about topics for speaking at conferences or trainings that we may put on or something like that. And I've got ideas and stuff I want to talk about. We can use some of the custom GPTs that can scrum on that a little bit and flesh out some more ideas. That could be beneficial for idea refinement. I think is probably certainly a way that we've had a lot of success with it. And then I'm not super privy to all of them, and I don't understand how the wizards behind the curtain work. But there's a lot of true technology plays we do with AI as well, right? That our development team is building that are much more advanced than the average user would typically take advantage of. But we're building and for our clients and for ourselves some pretty advanced, I'd say, AI integrations and analytic type products as well.
Now, are those kind of future projects you guys are working on right now, or are they what you're implementing today?
Past, present, future. I think Aptitude 8 was a very early adopter of AI. I think going back to, feels like yesterday, but it was really January, February of last year where it became public, this emergence, and they wasted no time hopping right in and we're building custom GPTs before you could even do it natively in the app, right? So I think that's been an important part of our go-to-market strategy. We work closely with HubSpot as much as we can to align with them and their AI offerings, certainly ChatSpot and some of the more advanced features. As they continue to build AI into HubSpot, we want to be right there on the cutting edge. But yes, our clients are asking for these. AI comes up in, I'd say, most projects to some extent. We're not always building an AI, but as a topic of conversation, it's become a lot more commonplace, right? We're talking about it today, for example, right? People are curious about it and they want to know how it can benefit their organization.
Yeah, I think there's a massive curiosity and there's so many ways that people can go with it. We've definitely, as a humanity, we've gotten to a point where there's a couple things that are for sure what we can do with AI. I think you mentioned a few of them, like the brainstorming and creating some good touch point automations and stuff like that, and building this knowledge base for distributing information. those things are really, really crucial to our understanding about where AI fits right now. There are infinite possibilities of where it's going to go in the future and how it's going to be involved with RevOps in general. And I think there's a lot more to see in the next 4 or 5 years that I'm sure within 10 years, there's AI is going to be doing stuff that we never predicted before ever. And so we saw that with the internet. Nobody thought we would be where we're at with the internet right now. And so it's hard to really explain what we can do with it until people start finding use cases and whoa, this is really cool. I think we can build an interesting use case here and make it into a normalized product for everyone. Just like the iPhone, that was just now everybody has one and it's so normal and natural. And I think AI is going to get to a point like that. It's definitely not there yet, not even close. But I think we are getting next 5 to 10 years, it'll be normal and natural. Like we wouldn't even know, like just pulling out your iPhone, looking at your messages and using AI. So I kind of wanted to dive in a little bit more on the RevOps end for you, Bryan, because I know you're the COO and you've been working with them for just a few months, but you've been following them for a long time. So what does RevOps mean to you, first of all? And also, how do you see yourself playing out RevOps in the future? What it's going to be in a couple of years, or maybe in a year from now, or maybe in a couple of months? I wanted to get your thoughts on that and where you think it's going.
Yeah, great question, Tanner. So there's a lot of definitions for RevOps, and if you Google it, I'm sure you'll get probably different responses depending on your regionality. How I like to think about it, it's more of a operational definition than it is functional, but I view it very much as a convergence, the final, inevitable perhaps, convergence of really marketing and sales, right? Because when we talk about revenue operations, we're really finally having this conversation about full lifecycle management, right? From the work that marketing is doing on the front end, the demand gen, the go-to-market strategy, all these things, truly through the process of MQL to SQL, getting deeper, much deeper into the sales data, actually making sales data valuable, which historically has been what are your numbers, how much revenue you're driving, what's your close rate, et cetera, capacity. Now we're really marrying those two data points. And that's continuing on again in the customer journey into operations, right? How are we serving our customers? It's quite a bit like HubSpot's flywheel model, right? It's followed perhaps in some ways. That was an early model indicating revenue operations. It feels a lot like that to me. So again, to be succinct, I view it really as the convergence between truly marketing and sales and deleting this barrier that they're really separate entities and they're siloed in there. It's not a versus anymore. It's very much a melding of data, and it's using that data for good, right? It's now using a combined macro data set to make enterprise decisions, which historically decisions have been made on a per team basis. Maybe there's some aggregate agreement among stakeholders, but now we're operating under this concept. To me, RevOps gives us a single data set, right? Now executives, we've got all the data from all the different points of entry, and we're able to truly make informed decisions based upon a complete data set. That to me is how I define and think about RevOps. I think in my current role, sit adjacent to that a bit, certainly overseeing the operations component of our business as well as delivery and in sales to some extent. For me, I make a joke sometimes that data is greater than feelings, right? Because it's easy to feel stressed or be impacted by the day-to-day work. And it's quite challenging to take a step back and truly look at the data. Like, what does the data tell us? And I think, and at least in my role, that's what I try to do on a daily basis, is make data-driven decisions and collect as much data as I can from as many places across all of the branches of the organization, kind of referring again to that master data set and making business decisions based upon that, right? And now I feel more comfortable making decisions to help us grow and scale and get to the next growth juncture instead of decisions that are getting us next week or next month or next quarter. We're making decisions now that are going to impact us in 2025, 2026, and beyond. So that's how I think about it, my role, and define it. From a client perspective, I think that your second question there, Tanner, was related to, what are some other applications of RevOps and AI? And there's obviously the given ones. I named a few of them, right? You got your data management, your integration, and those kind of things. Again, as a HubSpot partner, we try and run a HubSpot-centric organization. So we try to dig a little bit deeper and push the boundaries a bit more into marketing and sales specific use cases like lead scoring. Let's use an AI influenced lead scoring model instead of you get 2 points for an email open or 3 points for this. Not discounting lead scoring models. They're highly effective when they're done right, but give that to the robot 10 out of 10 times. And I suspect it'd be more effective once you train the bot, of course, right? Segmentation. We talked a little bit earlier about how even a tool like Hublead can impact, our segmentation. How about we segment by AI, right? That's coming. I think that's coming very soon. We're already working on projects like that. Chatbots, we're seeing chatbots get smarter and smarter. had an interaction with a customer service agent at a large company just this last week, and I chatted with what I thought was a human in the morning. Shipment never arrived. Happened to be on a phone call later that day about the same problem. And I was talking with a real person, I think, sounded like a human, probably human. And I mentioned that I was chatting with a rep earlier in the morning. They were like, no, you weren't. That's our bot. And I was like, no, it was definitely a human. They were like, no, it's not. And I was like, oh. So the fact that even chat has gotten that organic, I view myself as I'm a pretty scrutinous guy. Generally, I think I would have caught that. But turns out no. So it's getting that good, kind of as you said, Tanner, like it is really there. And then I think just another use case to plug it here is think about, you've heard me talk a lot today about this customized buyer's journey and customer journey, right? I think AI is an important part of that. We want to create a personalized experience. We want to use the big data that these corporations have had on us for all these years. We have access to some of that now. I'd like to think a little bit using that to influence things like marketing campaigns, sales strategy, go-to-market strategy. And I think that's probably a super important one. And of course, my favorite is just process automation and efficiency. That's really a given and no-brainer, but that's some of the work that you do as well, Tanner, right? In your product offerings is this concept of automating touch points and automating data in HubSpot and other CRMs. I think that's a pretty clear use case that I don't think we can remind ourselves enough about it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I really like what you said about big corporations that have had access to this since the 1980s, right? And it's really what it is if we dive really deep down into it. It's sets of math equations that give specific outcomes. And so you give inputs and it adjusts itself as the outcomes start to be trained and planned and given. And now we're just on such a sophisticated basis that we can do it with regular text-based organic conversation and create outcomes with that, which is nuts, right? But
It is.
what you mentioned is the corporations, I think now the AI, the capabilities, the availability that we have now as small quote unquote businesses, anything less than 1,000, now has this super powerful capability to analyze their data and to look at what's going on and make these business decisions rather than just these 10,000 plus employee companies that have had this access to this for a long time. So I think that's really cool the way that it's allowing all of us, giving power back to the people, so to speak, of giving them
It feels that way.
availability of yeah, it really does. It
Mm-hmm.
really does feel that way. And it's no longer Big Brother making these data driven decisions. It's all of us, which is cool. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
really cool. Brian, before we end, thanks for hopping on, of course, always. Before we end, what are some final thoughts? Anything you want to shoot off to the listeners? Last pieces of advice? What do you got?
Yeah, I would just say, look, to wrap up kind of the AI component, it's here. It's not going anywhere. It's not scary anymore. But if you are scared about it, don't be. I think it's going to become a normal part of our lives. We're seeing more and more things that happen in the Jetsons actually becoming true, right? I can talk to my TV now. It's fun. But I think my advice to just any listener would be just embrace it, both as an individual, right? I used it recently to plan a Disney trip. Sounds crazy, but it was very helpful. Embrace it personally where you can. And I think for my business owners and other agency partners out there, find ways to build it into your business process. Embrace it, adopt it, incorporate it. It's once you've mastered it, found out how to make it work for you, it's only going to save time, right? And I think in business, time is always money. So I don't see the harm. I don't see the concern. I don't think entire industries are going to disappear overnight, but I think industries will need to evolve and find out how to incorporate it to move faster. Because at least for us, it helps us move a lot quicker. It helps us be a bit more efficient. It minimizes human error and mistakes. We can do AI-based code reviews. So when we're building custom things, that our QA process is reduced, right? So just finding ways to build it into your business, build it into your processes, I think is the easiest way, I think, to tiptoe in the waters if you're not already doing that. And just from RevOps perspective, again, just to share my viewpoint on it is that I believe it really is a convergence of data. And I think AI is really going to just propel that into the stratosphere, right? Because I feel like we've just really reached the point in conversation where RevOps is normal and acceptable and desirable, right? We're here and we've reached that mountain. Yes, this is a great place to be. And now we've got AI. And I feel like AI and RevOps is putting gasoline on a fire in some ways, in a good way, right? But it's hard to comprehend where these things are going to go from here. That's really hard, I think, to comprehend, considering 20 years ago, AOL sold textbooks, right? And that was not that long ago. So, but I think we're going to see a much, much faster adoption and embracing of both of these technologies. So it's exciting, a little bit scary, but I would just say be on the winning side of that when it does happen.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks so much. Brian, where can people go find you, connect with you? You've got lots of great stuff to say. So if they have any questions, feel free.
Oh, thanks for that. Thanks for that, Tanner. Yeah, available on LinkedIn. That's my most active social. Bryan with a Y, Byler with a Y. Happy to connect with anyone. I'll take a virtual coffee date with just about anybody. I love meeting new people. And of course, if you're interested in any HubSpot consulting services, integrations, migrations, any kind of technical work, Aptitude 8 is going to be where you want to head for that.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks a bunch, Bryan, for being on the show. Thanks all the listeners for tuning in.
Thanks all. Bye-bye.